Welcome to the Crafty Mini, and in this one we're going to be painting the new Antioch miniatures that I've sort of very slightly kit bashed, just done a head swap and added a few little bits. With this one it's going to be a really simple paint scheme with very easy to follow. So at the bottom of each clip you'll have the paint that I'm using, and I'm basically doing a production line, so this step will be done on every single miniature of all the, I think it's 10 of them, and then I'll go, when we start the next clip, I do that exact same colour that's in that right down the production line, and you can find this is a really quick and easy way of getting batch painting done. So to begin with, I've got the miniatures all based up, got some mud texture on there, some coffee stirrers for like trench wood steps and things, and a little bit of barbed wire. As I say, I've got the head swap that I wanted, and everything gets a base coat of Vallejo flat brown. Really easy, really simple, and this is a nice unifying colour to start everything off. Part of this flat brown, as well as you see on the next video, I'll do things like even the bits of wood on the ground, because we're basically going to be utilising different washes to make them pop and get a variation of the colour. So at this step, this miniature gets painted in Vallejo flat brown, then the next one and the next one, and I'll get them all base coated in one go, and then we go from there. Right, so second step. Now with these, they've got a bunch of fatigues under the armour, this really nice high collar on the miniature which you'll see, and various pouches and things. So all of the fatigues and the pouches will get English uniform by Vallejo, and I'll deliberately leave the gloves, the flat brown from the previous step, and the backpack as well, and the boots, because again, like I mentioned, we're going to be using different washes to vary out those. So at this point, really simple, take your time, and if you ever make a mistake you can just go back to the first colour and go back over as well. Just let it dry first so it doesn't mix, but just covering all of the fatigues and the pouches in the English uniform. It's a really nice khaki colour. These, as I mentioned in the previous video when we looked at them, the armour's not as blue as in the actual artwork, but I found that this colour scheme, it really makes them pop on the table, and it's something a bit different, and it does work. But yeah, so get all the uniform in. I'll go in some of the straps on the back of the boots as well. I'll do those in uniform, in the English uniform, because the boots are staying in that flat brown, and some of the backpacks have got extra little pouches on, and they'll get the English uniform as well, just to break up so you don't want big blocks of colour on there. And as you can see there, they're all lined up, so I've gone and done all of the English uniform on each miniature, and they're lined up ready to go. So for this one, my favourite metallic colour at the moment is Procyl's Dark Silver. Now you can use something like a gunmetal or a bolt gun if you've got it, rather than paying for a more expensive paint. But I really like this because once you put a very simple black wash on, it makes it look like beaten steel and darkens it down quite a bit. So anywhere that's metallic, so on the bottom of all the backpacks they've got this little gas canister. Some of the men on the helmets have got a little rebreather for like a gas mask that pops out, so that'll get the dark silver. Any little extra bits on the armour, so there's some with some grenades, the weapons themselves, and a few little buckles and things will just get picked out in this dark silver. A really quick and easy step. And at this point we're just blocking out all of the colours. So nice and simple. Once you do the one miniature, same again, go straight down the line and do all the rest. Right, so at this point we're blocking out all of the armour. So the helmets in particular, they've got a couple of shoulder pads, some of the webbing and pouches that are on the chest. You can see part of the plate armour just behind, so that gets a bit of green as well. The knee pads and greaves. Some of the men on their hands have got a little armour plate, so that gets this green as well. And on the actual skirts of the fatigues, there's like this lobster tail sort of armour plates that overlap, that you can see on paint. I'll be painting there, and they all get the green as well. So same again, blocking out all the colours, nice and simple. The only variation I did was on the captain. He has like an iron halo type thing, for those who watched the video last week. So that was dark silver, and then the helmet itself is in red. And again, really simple, and it's the washes we're going to use to actually make this work. Now at this point, once you've gone down the line and all of these colours have been added to all of the miniatures, this is pretty much your base coat done. So it's a case now of going back through the miniatures. If there's any little areas, like maybe you've got a bit of a green on the actual greaves or the fatigues, so you need to go back in with the English uniform and so on, and just go back in and pick out those details. Because I tend to do multiple thinner coats as well. If I feel like the colour's not vibrant enough, I'll go back in and just put another layer of that colour when it's completely dry. And then, as I say, just go back, make sure everything's fully covered, because once it's all dry, we're going to go and do the wash step next. Right, so on this point now, absolutely everything on that miniature is going to get a nice heavy wash of Citadel's Agrax Earthshade. Now this is the older type of Earthshade, and the newer stuff, I know it's a bit more glossy, and it feels like it doesn't cover as well. So what I'd recommend is, if you get the newer stuff, put a little bit of the strong tone from Army Painter in, mix it up. It will separate every time you use it, so you have to mix it again. But I find that tends to go on a lot better, and you get a better staining effect. But everything gets a wash of this, and then what I'll do is, once everything's been coated, just have a look at the miniature, move it around, and see if there's anywhere where it's heavily pooled. Just use a brush to wick that off, because you don't want it getting too stained and dark. And then this will basically cover everything, get into all the shadows, make things look a bit grimier, a bit dirtier, and then we'll go from there. And then we just let them fully dry. Right, now at this point I wanted to just have a try of something a bit different. Now I've got these acrylic marker pens, because I tried to go in with a brush and do a little red circle on the shoulder pads for a little cross to say, to denote that they're all part of the same unit. And my hand was just getting really shaky, and I was messing it up and having to go back and forth with the green and the red. And then I remembered I've got these acrylic markers, much easier for brush control, especially for smaller bits like this. So all I'm doing is, on each of the pads, is I'm going in and I'm just drawing a little red circle, colouring it in, and that'll be ready. One thing to note if you are going to use these, however, is let them fully dry before you put anything else on, because I've found that I don't know whether it's something in the medium, and it takes a bit longer to dry, and if you like put a wash on or paint anything on top of it, it just immediately bleeds in. So make sure it's fully dry. If you need to, just hit it with a hairdryer for a couple of seconds just to make sure it's completely dry the way through. But it's a really cool way of and a really easy way of getting some unit markings on, which I'll definitely be doing in the future for other stuff, because controlling a pen's a lot easier than a brush. The shield on the commander, I went back and forth figuring out, because I wanted to go two-tone. I tried to do two different of the pens, and in the end I went for a full red shield, because it just makes him pop a bit more. But you can see the coverage on these pens, and they really go on well. And it's a nice little tool to have, and you can get multiple colours. I got a set from Hobbycraft here in the UK, and I think it's about 20 different colours, and it cost me I think it was £7, which is not too bad at all. Right, so at this point everything's dried up. So the webbing, because they've had the same wash as the fatigues and there's not much sort of shade variation there, so all of the webbing now and a few areas gets the Vallejo's sorry, oh, fucking hell, dickhead. Right, so at this point, because I want to make a bit more variation, especially in that English uniform that's had this generic brown wash, all of the webbing and the little bits of pouches and things, they all get this miniature shade from Army Painter. It's quite dark, it's got a bit of a green hint to it, and it just makes it separate from the English uniform that's got the normal brown wash. Yes, this does dry extremely glossy, but we'll fix that up in a later step, and it just makes it pop a little bit more. And then just to add a little bit more variation, so on this particular character I put a little bit on his backpack and then a few of the others just to make them look slightly different, but it adds that another colour variation and makes everything stand out a little bit more, darkens down the recesses, and you get a really nice effect. Right, so this was, I was thinking again about more experimentation. So what I've done is, on those red dots on the shoulder pads, I've got this nice light green, done a smaller dot within that, and then when they've fully dried, I'm going actually in with a fine liner. You can see there, 0.05 nib, really fine, and I'm just drawing little orthodox crosses on each of the shoulder pads that cuts through the green and the red. Just adds a bit of detail. It's a nice simple way of doing a bit of freehand. And later on you'll see where I'm doing it on the actual originally I tried to paint little lines for lettering on the banner. Going in with the fine liner over the top of that makes it punch a little bit more. It's a really easy way of making things stand out, and if you're not particularly good at freehand miniature or word painting like I am for flags and things, this is a really simple way of doing it. And an important note, exactly the same like the acrylic paint pens, let this fully dry before you go and paint anywhere near it. The inks in these little pigment liners will actually they'll bleed out and they'll smudge everything up, so make sure it's fully dry before you go and paint near it again. But the same again, production line, going down, doing each one after the other. Yeah, we're doing stuff like this, you'll find that towards the end, the last 4 or 5 are going to be better than the first 2 or 3 as you're getting used to it. But it's really simple. If you want to go back, you just use the markers again, put the colour down, let them dry each step, and then go back in with the fine liner. Right, so at this point, this is another one of my favourite things that I use in my painting. So it's Green Stuff World's Ultra Matte Varnish. This really does dry matte. It's one of the better ones out there that I've used. So all of the base rims will get this after they've been painted black, just to neaten them up. And then where we've put especially the military shade from Army Painter, that's extremely glossy in its drying. So what I'm going to go through now is I make sure so all of the armour and the webbing and the under tunic gets this matte varnish just to dull it down. Same with the helmets and things. But then on the boots and the muddy ground, because that's had a wash and that's really glossy, because I want that to look wet as well, is I don't go all the way down the leg and I variate it a little bit just so it looks like the boots are wet because they've been trudging through the mud, and you get this nice sort of texture finish on there. Also, any of the metallic parts, don't get this on there either, just because I want them to have a little bit of a shine, and again just to give more variation to the miniature. And when they're done, that matte varnish really does make it pop. Yes, they're a bit duller than normal, but that's the sort of style I'm going for. I want them to look a bit rough and ready, that these guys have been trudging through a muddy trench battlefield for months on end before they're going into battle. I didn't put any of the varnish over the little shoulder pad icon either, just so that stands out a little bit more. But in the end you get a really nice finish on these, and we'll do some close-ups in a bit and you'll see. Right, so this is the finished unit. The commander, the banner, and the heavy weapons, they all stand out a little bit more from the generic sort of rank and file infantry. But overall, they look good. They're a cohesive unit. Yeah, not massively detailed, but I want to get these ready for playing on the tabletop. This has always been my case, especially with this scale. Like busts and things, I'll spend a bit more time with. But for this stuff, I want to get it on the gaming table and get playing. Really looking forward to doing some more Trench Crusade. I've had a couple of games under my belt now, and it's a fun game, very interesting. These miniatures, the sculpts were absolutely brilliant, and the head swap was a really simple one, and it's fit nicely, and it gives them a nice unique character and a sort of silhouette as you're looking at them. These guys, they look like they're heavy infantry that are slogging through a battlefield and have been fighting for a long time. And really simple. Hope it's helped. If you want me to do any more Trench Crusade sort of painting and things, let me know. I've got some more upcoming projects. The Trench Pilgrims are going to get finished. My little warband for that. That's my main warband, which I'll probably spend a bit more time with, to be honest. And that'll be coming out soon as well. So stay tuned for that. But if there's anything you want to know about, any tips or anything, always hit me up in the comments. I'll always answer. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and all that YouTube stuff, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.